Welcome to Cooking with Andrea. Thanks for coming in and cooking with me today. We're going to be doing my taco skillet. I'm excited. I love to cook. So I've got my skillet on 375 and medium high because when I drop my 1 pound of hamburger in here, I want the sizzle just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and drop it in. I got a leaner meat this week. I got a good price on it, which was great. But like I said, I never worry when I don't get a lean cut of hamburger. I will just drain my own grease and I'll be just fine. So in my skillet, I'm going to go ahead and let my hamburger warm up just a little bit. Toss it. I want this steam. You see the steam coming? That's perfect. That means if I mix, all my hamburger will come out pretty much uniform, the same size, and it'll be a nice bite. Everybody will get a bite of hamburger in with their taco skillet. Now my taco skillet is a rice-based taco skillet, so I'm going to have ground beef, I'm going to have a cup of rice, and it's just a long grain rice. Doesn't matter what it is, you're good. And then we'll go ahead and put a cup and a half, almost 2 cups of black beans in there. I made my own black beans because I usually do beans once a week. So my black beans are not quite as dark as you see in the can sometimes because I let mine soak. You know, I'm a pinto bean maker. I always make my own fresh beans for my refried beans and everything. And I grew up eating pinto beans. So I don't know, I soak my black beans. I just think it makes it just a little bit softer, the skin texture. And it does help the cooking process because, boy, your beans have been soaking overnight, so they're a whole heck of a lot softer. So I'm using 2 cups of black bean in mine. Then I'm going to go ahead and put my rest of my black beans back in my refrigerator because I'll use the rest of these this week for lunch. And then I have about 2 pounds of black beans frozen. I love my food saver because it just condenses and freezes everything. So I'm just going to let this cook for a minute more. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator. And then what I'm going to do is I am actually going to put my garlic in right now. I have 3 cloves of garlic. It looks like this. I chopped it real fine. I'm just going to dump it in. And then I am going to just give it a good mix. And then I'm going to add my taco seasoning. I'm kind of weird. I usually add my taco seasoning when I'm cooking versus after it's done because I feel I don't have to add any water with it, and so I feel like I get a little bit more with the oil and the sauce packet. And then I just drain the extra grease out of it, so it's absolutely perfectly fine. I think it enhances my flavor a little bit, so that's why I do it that way. So I'm going to take 1 packet of taco seasoning, any kind you prefer. The reason I'm using this one today is I like it. It's ground fine. And I have 1 more packet of this left because lately I've been just using the Ortega and I have a big bottle of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my 1 packet so I just don't have 1 packet sitting in my cupboard since I switched over to a bigger bottle. Because I use my seasons a lot. So I thought, you know what? Just start acquiring your seasonings. And then you'll just finish your packets. And then that way it's cheaper on my food bill too. That's why I tell you guys, don't buy anything. If you see something on sale, I don't care if it's generic or not. You can always enhance the flavor. You know? Honestly, from generic and some spices to versus fresh or dried, that's when I see more controversy with fresh and dry than I do cheap brand, expensive brand for seasonings. Sometimes I feel that dried seasonings give you much more flavor than the wet ones do. So I'm just letting my hamburger cook, and I have a much leaner ground beef. I may not have to drain any grease because I'm not really seeing any grease on the bottom of my pan. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my garlic away. I showed you how much I used. So we're good there. Oh yeah, looking fantastic. Yeah, I don't have enough grease in here to drain. My hamburger's all uniform, pretty much all the same bite, which is good. And we're just letting these seasonings cook in. Okay, when I do add my rice to the pot, that's what's going to make my skillet come together. And then what I'll do is end up adding a tablespoon of my tomato paste just for the acidity. I want to get in and show you guys this. This is actually a good little seasoning pack, especially if you're not used to seasoning or making a casserole like this. Because a lot of times we have to go to tomato paste or tomato sauce to make a casserole like this. This has the annatto seed in it, like the chefs always talk about. It has coriander. You can use it in anything. Soups, salads, stews, anything you're making. But you know, every once in a while for my rice, what I do is I use this, and then I just use a tablespoon of tomato paste. Because I used to be, I'm only using tomato sauce, and boy, this gives it a great taste. So I encourage everybody to go out and get that little pack, especially if you're learning how to season. Like I said, seasons can be expensive if you don't know what you're buying. Look at this one. And that's how I got to be such a seasoned person. I started looking at everything. Okay, so I got some good bits on my pan. I want these good bits. Okay, so I don't need to drain my hamburger, but I am going to go drain it anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my little skillet here. And I'm going to go ahead and drain it. But there's not going to be any grease. And then what I'm going to do is use the same pan, because it has all the great bits in it. And then what I'm going to do is do our rice. And then we'll incorporate everything together and let the rice and everything come up. Oh my gosh, it's going to be delicious. This is an inexpensive dish. And it's a pretty fast dish. And boy, you can feed quite a few people. And it is just delicious. Okay, I'm just going to add just a teeny bit of oil, probably half a teaspoon. I'm going to put my rice down, and I'm going to just toast off my rice a little bit. I'm going to turn my pan back on. I don't have to toast it too much, but I grew up, this is how I do my rice. I toast my rice. My dad was the rice maker. My mom was the bean maker in the home, and my dad always toasted his rice, you know. It was so funny because I just learned a few years ago that you can actually soak your rice in water or rinse it in water and it'll cook real well. I tried it. I just never had done it, so it wasn't something that came natural. So even when I make fried rice and I make white rice from scratch, I still toast my rice and then I just add a clear chicken stock. That's all I do. Okay, so basically, I'm just going to let this toast for a second. So like I said, I encourage you guys to try this if you haven't tried it. It took me a long time to go out and try things like that. I was very skeptical, didn't want to spend the money. But actually these packets are pretty inexpensive, especially if you go to Walmart and you find them. That's the cheapest I've found them. Okay, so I have my rice in here, and it's toasting just a little bit. I have 3.5 cups of liquid to my 1 cup of rice. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm using a low sodium chicken stock. You can use water with your own bouillon. You can do it any way you choose. So what I'm going to do, this is the steam that I wanted it to come off with. Because what I'm going to do is let it sit in here for a minute. I'm going to add the seasonings, and then we're going to add the meat and the beans, and it should be to a rolling boil by then, and then we're going to go ahead and cover. So first I'm going to take my 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. And normally I don't put it in this little cup here because then you're going to have to take your finger and you're going to have to go like this to get all the goodness out. Usually I go ahead and I just buy this. It's not very expensive. I believe it's only, I think I got it on sale at Winco for $1.62. I think it's regularly like $1.98. And I just squeeze from the tube because then you don't have to mess up a dish. But I wanted you guys to see how much I do use. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip this little packet open. This is going to give me some orange color. And it is my Goya. seasoning, and it's good. It's got onion, it's got all sorts of stuff. Let's see. Smells okay. Nothing super wonderful, but look at that beautiful color it's going to give. Let me stir that. See that color? And then if I add my meat and my beans, it's going to give everything just an interesting color. It adds flavor too. And then I'm going to take 1 teaspoon of cumin. 1 teaspoon, that's it. I like that extra earthy flavor. I'm going to stir it in. I'm going to keep stirring. And then what I'm going to do is let this come up for a second. See, the cumin takes a lot of the orange out, brings it back to almost like a brown color, but you're going to have the hint of orange. I have 1 cup of Monterey Jack shredded. That's what I have right here. And what I'm going to do though is I'm going to put this back in the refrigerator so I have some room on the counter. Not only that, that's what I'm going to top my taco skillet with as soon as it's done. And I've got some other interesting things in here. I chopped some green onions, some cilantro, and I also did a little bit of, I have sour cream in there. And you could put all these things on. You can throw olives in here, anything. If you're really into a lot of spice, cut up a few pieces of jalapeno, throw it in there. I'm not into the spice, not for this dish. My spicy dishes are my enchiladas. I like my enchiladas spicy. But for my taco skillet, I don't want it too seasony or too spicy. I want it more seasoned, where it has, a hint of this, a hint of that. But nothing too hot today. Not only that, this weekend, or this, during the week, I'm going to be making some shrimp diablos, a plate of that with some fresh beans and rice. So I'm going to wait for my heat to come during the week. Okay, so I'm just letting this come up. I'm going to go ahead and put my beans in. Almost 2 cups of black beans. I like black beans in this dish. If you do not have fresh beans, just get 15 ounces or 8 ounces of beans. It depends on your preference if you're a big bean person. I am. I like beans a lot. I could probably eat beans every day. Okay, now I want to bring this back because this is really important. The reason I still drained it is because you'll see you got some good grease going on in there, but not a lot. And I'm just going to move my hamburger just a little bit. Always move it just a little bit, just to make sure there isn't a pocket of grease trapped. Okay, there's not, but I want to show you that was not much grease at all, but that is something you do want to drain. So I'm going to go ahead and put my pound of hamburger in. And this is a fast meal. This is a good lunch meal or a fast dinner meal. You go ahead and you have some of this, and you know what? Because it has so much, you could do a 1-pot meal. If you're not into 1-pot meals and you need more, make a salad with it. You're good to go. Oh my gosh, you're good to go. Okay. This is looking absolutely beautiful. I don't feel I need any more seasonings or anything. Remember, you have your packet of taco seasoning, you have your Sazon seasoning, you have some cumin, you already have seasoning because of your black beans. Because I made mine from scratch, so I cheated. Mine have a little bit of onion, a little bit of ham, and then I just boiled everything, so everything's super soft. I can even eat that texture of onion because it is boiled so well. But this is what it's looking like. Okay, so what I'm waiting for here is I'm just basically waiting on this to come to a boil. As soon as it comes to a boil, we're going to go ahead and put the cap on. We're going to drop it to a medium low. And then I want to let you know, I wanted to get my counter cleaned off so you could see what we're going to do next. So when we go to break, because it'll take about 30-35 minutes to boil, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to start slicing my tortillas. I'm going to start them now since you're here with me because we're not up to a boil yet. And then what I'm going to do is I've got about 2 tablespoons of oil in my pan. I'm gonna fry these because this is gonna be a nice topper to my taco skillet. This is why I call it a taco skillet, because I have corn tortilla. And it reminds me of a deconstructed taco, basically. So what I'm going to do is cut it just like that. I'm going to do thin strips. And I'm just going to fry it in the oil. So basically, this is how it's going to look. I'm going to fry them in the oil, put them on a paper plate with a paper towel. And that's what we're going to put on top. You know what I'm going to have to do is cut my little tortilla in half, so I don't have such big strips. Oh, this is looking good. I'm going to take my fork. Smells delicious. Oh, smells really good. You can smell all the seasonings in there. I can smell the taco seasoning. I can smell the Sazon packet. It is smelling delicious. Okay, so I'm just going to let that come up a little bit more. We'll finish cutting these, and then we're going to drop that heat and cover it, and we'll be back in 30 minutes. But we're just going to cut these. Welcome back. We're ready. Woohoo! I'm excited. One thing too, I wanted to let you know, my tortilla strips, I was able to use all my old tortillas for this dish, which is good. Nothing went to waste. I believe my white bread should always be for croutons or wheat bread, but I like white bread better than I do wheat for croutons. It's just so soft. Sourdough, we don't give it a chance to go anywhere except for on good sandwiches or something like this. Okay, this is done. Anywhere from 25 minutes to 30. It's up to you. It's really your preference on how you like your rice. My rice has to be done where it's soft, because I do not like to crunch rice and it's hard. So we are ready. I just wanted to let you know. I'm just frying these up so you could kind of see these in my little pan, how they're going to look. And as soon as these come out, we're going to go ahead and dish up. But I'm going to take a little bite. Excellent. It is ready to go. Rice is still formed, not mushy at all. Excellent flavor. Now I'm just going to touch on a couple of things since we're waiting for these to come out. First of all, you don't have to use ground beef. You can use ground turkey, or you can use shredded chicken. I like, when I make this dish, to do ground beef. I think it tastes the best. Another thing is if you didn't have the seasonings that I told you to use or showed you to use, because it's a good flavor, use 2 things of taco seasoning. You'll pretty much, with the cumin, maybe add a teaspoon of garlic powder and a teaspoon of onion powder, and you'd be fine. Either that or just wait, and when you go to the store, like I said, that one Goya seasoning is at Walmart like crazy, and it's a really good price. So I just took those out. I'm going to give a sprinkle of salt, because corn chips taste good with salt. Okay. I'm going to turn my burner off. I'm going to move this, and I got the garnish out. Inexpensive dish. Hamburger was real lean, $3.99 a pound. I bought it in bulk, so it was a good price for me. And then, I had the rice in the cupboard, and you can use any rice. It's going to have a little bit of wet. It'll dry as it comes out. Plus, you don't want it too dry, because then it doesn't taste as good. You have to have some liquid. Okay, so, ow, that's a little hot. I'm always touching with my hands, but I want you to see how it looks here first. Looks fantastic. See that beautiful color? That's that annatto seed. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit more on. Then what I want to do is take my Monterey Jack cheese, and I'm going to go like that. Sprinkle just a little bit so it gets melty on just a little bit. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some cilantro, fresh cilantro. Not too much, but these are all garnishes. If you had olives, use olives. People throw olives in there when they're cooking it. I don't. I use it more like a garnish. And then take some green onion if you'd like. Then I'm going to take a little bit more cheese, but I want that to melt on. My husband likes when his cheese is melted onto his tacos like that. So that's what I'm trying to do, is mimic something that I would prepare for him. And then what I do is I just take chips and I just sprinkle them like that. And I lay them right here on the side. Not too many on top so we can just bite into it. Plus, I don't want everything to be soggy, you know. And then what you can do is just take a fresh little dollop of whipped cream. And you can put it right on top. And if you don't like whipped cream, then don't use it. It's just a garnish, that's all it is. Maybe I need a little bit bigger scoop though. So I want you to take a look and see. But I suggest, guys, please try this. Inexpensive dish, really fast dish. Like I said, if I wouldn't keep talking, it would go, you would have everything prepped in a matter of minutes. It really only takes 25 to 30 minutes to cook your rice, depending, and I like my rice cooked good, so I took the full 30 minutes. Full meal here: rice, bean, meat, cheese, tortilla strips, some fresh veg. Please enjoy, and if you like the content, would you please like and subscribe? And everybody who's been liking and subscribing and putting comments in, thank you very much for the support. I really do appreciate it, and I thank you for cooking with me, Andrea. See you soon. Thank you.